Hey there, Bridgepoint. Thanks so much for joining us for another Devo. If this is your first time here, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell just so that you can be notified every week that we upload another devotional. So the other day I was going through my feed on, I believe it was Instagram or Facebook, I don't recall. And my buddy Alvaro from the Limit Breakers in Sacramento posted something that really just kind of popped out at me. I'm sure this has happened to you too. And it said, "Heaven is the reward, not the goal." And I was kind of like just meditating, and I was trying to think over and over about this. And I realized something. I realized that when I was younger, I was told that I should worship, that I should come to church, I should read my Bible, I should pray, I should do all these things so that I can get to heaven. And I believe that there are so many people, even nowadays, that are older, they're not like, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids that still believe or still walk their Christian walk simply to avoid hell. In other words, they're doing it for the wrong reason. They're doing it because they don't want to burn in hell. They want to get to heaven. It's almost as if the main goal for their life living, for their worship, for their praying is so that they don't end up in hell. Rather, they make heaven their goal. Now, that in itself is not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying that heaven shouldn't be a goal. Like, yeah, that's part of our goal. But it shouldn't be our only motivation. And I feel like for many people, their only motivation for anything God honoring that they do is so that they don't end up in hell, rather end up in heaven. And I said, that in itself is not a bad thing, but it shouldn't be the main reason. God has called us to have community, to have fellowship, to have a relationship with Him. And ultimately, that is the goal, is to be with God. And I hate to break it to you, I don't know if you've read the Bible far enough, but we will get to heaven. But the ultimate goal is for heaven to come back to a new earth. So we'll be right back here where we are. It'll be a new earth. It'll look different. It'll be different. It'll work different. But the point is that we will be with God. I had a brother of mine when he was younger. He told my mom something that is kind of hilarious if you think about it. But I think that so many people have thought this also. He said, when we get to heaven, are we just going to be doing church for eternity? Like, that's all we're going to be doing? We're just going to be singing and clapping and that's it? Like, that's all we're going to do forever? And see, the problem is that he was told that the goal of Christian living is to get to heaven. But then when he pictured, there's so many people that say, us worshiping here at church, gathering together, singing, lifting up our hands and all that, that's like practice, that we're practicing for when we get to heaven. I want to kind of take it another step. Jesus, when he was here, he wanted to teach us how to pray. And so one of the things that he said was this: "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Jesus told us several times that we are ambassadors, that we are to be the salt of the earth, that we are to be the light of the earth, that we are to be Jesus, that we are to be a reflection of who God is to those around us. And he even taught us to pray that your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So in other words, the purpose of a Christian walk is to reflect God as well to the people around us, is to be a piece of heaven to those that don't know Christ. It's to be a piece of God's characteristics, God's love, God's forgiveness, so that people can see God through us. But that can only happen if we get close to God. It's being close to God that will allow us to know who God is, so that then we can reflect that in our daily living to those around us, to those at work, to those that see us, to those that walk with us. Paul said that he was an open letter to those that don't know God. There are many people in our lives that we know, be it relatives, friends, co-workers, classmates, whatever, that will probably never open up a Bible. And for them, you are the Bible. You are what they are reading. You are the piece of heaven. You are the piece of who God is. You are the piece of who Jesus is, that they are reading based on your actions, based on your words, based on your priorities, based on how you conduct yourself. Christian living is not just to get to heaven. Christian living is to know God and make him known to those here on earth. Let me give you another example. Sorry, I got a little fired up there. My bad. This is a Devo, not a preaching. Relax. Okay. Here, I'm gonna kind of unfold this in a different manner, okay? There are many people that date other people that have a boyfriend, that have a girlfriend, whatever, well, not whatever. If you're a boy, you have a girlfriend. And if you're a girl, you have a boyfriend, just to clarify things here, right? There are many people that have relationships solely because they don't want to be alone. Hear me out. Look at where I'm going here. There are people that date because they don't want to be alone. It's almost like the goal is the status of having a relationship versus the actual person that they're with. And all of this to avoid being alone. And one thing I just want to note here, loneliness and being alone are two completely different things. There are people that think that just because you're alone, you're going to feel lonely. And that is not the case, because there are many people that are surrounded by many people and still feel lonely. But that's another point. All right, going back to this here. People will sometimes date to avoid being alone or feeling lonely. And that's exactly what hell is in the dimension of our souls, is that hell is complete loneliness and separation from God. And we want to avoid that. So what do? We focus on the status of the location of where it is that I need to be to not be there, which is in heaven. And so the motivation for our life becomes, I don't want to be lonely. I want that relationship status. So it's not the relationship or the individual that you're having a relationship with or building a relationship with. It's the relationship status that people are pursuing. And it's the same thing with us. Sometimes the relationship status is heaven. It's like, I made it. I have the status of I'm in heaven now. Look at me. But what if I told you that that's not the only goal? It's not just so you can update your status. It's so that you can have a relationship with God. How's your girlfriend or your boyfriend going to feel, right? If you are more excited for the fact that you are no longer single than you are for that individual that is now a part of your life. I'm not saying don't pray for your marriage, future marriage, but pray for your wife. Don't just be excited like, I'm married now, guess what? I can have sex and not feel guilty or whatever. Like, that's a perk. But you should be more excited for the individual that you have married, to be with them, to have a relationship with them, to do things together, to travel together, to build a life together, to accomplish goals together. That is way more satisfying than the relationship status update. Should be more important. I should just say that. Should be. So I want to tell you this, when you live your life knowing God and building that relationship, and you're excited for God revealing himself to you on a daily basis, for God to show you the walk and the plans that he has for your life, the gifts that he's given you, the people that he wants you to touch, and you build that. And you build upon that, and you begin to see God in every corner of your life. You then become excited because you know that you will be with him for an eternity. That is much more exciting than thinking church 24/7 for an eternity. The point is, the reason why God even created man, the reason why he created Adam, was so that he can walk in that garden with him and have a relationship with him, have a conversation with him, and build a genuine relationship between child and father. What if Adam was much more excited about the garden than about God? It's almost like he's praising the creation and not the creator. It's almost like he gets more excited for the painting than the artist, the painter. Get excited about God. So be encouraged and allow yourself to embrace the fact that the purpose of our life is to have a genuine relationship with God. God wants to walk with you. God wants to show you great things, new things. He wants to reveal to you things that he's never revealed to anyone before. He wants to show you how the molding of your life, the characteristics, your personality, the gifts, the talents that you have are all part of a bigger purpose so that you can impact people around you. And more importantly, for you to be the bridge that people need to find Christ. So be encouraged. I pray that this will be a blessing to you. I pray that this will be a blessing throughout this week, that you would meditate on this, that you would allow this word to marinate on in your life. And I will see you on the next Devo next week. God bless. Heaven is a place where God and his angels abide. It's a heavenly place. Did you hear what I just said? Heaven is a heavenly place.